Welcome to this video on C amplifier, which is nothing but a common emitter amplifier. It is also called as RC coupled amplifier because resistors and capacitors are used to couple the input AC signal. So it is also called as RC coupled amplifier. So let us try to understand, how do we what are the settings we are supposed to make when we are doing the C amplifier using the unlock discovery. So let us write the circuit diagram of C amplifier having resistor R1, R2 for providing the biasing, and let us first have a very simple circuit. So this is VCC, which is usually 5 volt we are connecting. So this is ground. Here I'll apply we'll measure the output voltage. This is coupling capacitor. Here this is the input voltage, and of course this is the resistance, collector resistance RC. So we can write the AC equivalent circuit of this particular amplifier. So I can short circuit that coupling capacitor. I can write R1, R2 coming in parallel here. This is R1, R2. Then I can write the AC equivalent circuit of the BJT, which is having a resistance R pi between base and the emitter. Of course, I'm going to have a voltage dependent current source which depends on GM and VBE. So this is VB here, this is plus minus, and of course I have my resistance RC, that is, so this is the output measure, this is VM. So we know that of course the transconductance GM is given by IC by Vt, where Vt happens to be the thermal voltage. So Vt is equal to Kt by Q, so which will be 26 millivolt under room temperature, considering this as the value of Vt. So we can certainly get the desired value of IC by fixing the R1 and R2 values, and which will decide the VBE, which will also fix the value of IB. So we can find out what is IC is given by ICVO exponential VBE by VT. So this is the expression how the collector current is related to the base to emitter voltage, the thermal voltage, and the reverse saturation current. So this ICVO is nothing but reverse saturation current for the BJT, which is of the order of 10 into 10 power minus 13 amperes, or of course it is a very small current because we are looking at reverse saturation current. It will be 10 power minus 13 ampere. Suppose if the value of VBE happens to be 0.7 or 0.6 volt, so we can certainly find out what is the value of IC, assuming a value of ICVO is equal to 1 into 10 power minus 13. So let me just try to find out what is the value of IC with the assumption that VT is equal to 26 millivolt and VB is equal to 600 millivolt. So I can certainly find out this as 10 power minus 13 into e power 600 millivolt divided by 26 millivolt. So I can certainly find out the value here is 10 exponential minus 13 multiplied by exponential it is 600 divided by 26. Now it comes out to be, okay, it is let me just find out, let me redo it. So it is 10, okay, exponential minus 13 into exponential 600 divided by 26. Okay, this is coming out to be 10.5 milliampere, so which is a very large current here. So let us keeping this in mind. Okay, this is with the assumption that, okay, these are all pure assumptions. Okay, the current is, the reverse saturation current is 10 power minus 13. It can be 10 power minus 14 also. In such case, then this will become 1.05 milliampere. This will certainly give you a hint that if a value of VB is equal to 600 millivolt with the assumption of ICBO is equal to 10 power minus 13, what will be the probable value of IC? So let us try to fix this value of VB as around 600 millivolt. If you want to have VB as something like 600 millivolt, so we know that VBE is given by, in this particular expression, which happens to be the Vx here, which is equal to Vx. So I can write it as VCC R2 by R1 plus R2. Now let me assume the value of R1 to be something like, okay, 33 kilo ohm. So let us assume a bit larger value of R1, so that the input impedance of this amplifier is pretty good, and you cannot assume too much of larger value of R1 like, okay, 330 kilo ohms or 500 kilo ohms, because that will want to restrict the current flowing in this particular circuit, which will reduce my IB. If IB reduces naturally, because we know that along with this expression, so along with the expression of IC is equal to ICBO V into exponential VB minus VB by VT, IC also depends on, IC is also given by, so IB into beta, which is the other expression. If the value of IB reduces, it not only depends on VB, because we know that, okay, BJT is a current control device, so we need to have sufficient amount of IB also flowing. So IB should also be sufficiently flowing, so that R1 cannot be too much very large. That's why we are assuming it to be around 33 kilo ohms. The value of R1 is 33 kilo ohms, and if the value of Vx that is required is zero 0.6 volt, with the value of VCC as something like, okay, 5 volt, so we can certainly find out what is the value of R2 is. So I can find out the value of R2 now. 0 0.6 alpha equals, upon the parenthesis, now it is 5 into, we are looking for RA, okay, which is alpha A divided by 33 exponential 3 plus alpha A. I will solve for alpha A now. So alpha A comes out to be 4.5 kilo ohms. So this is 4.5 kilo ohm. So if the value of R1 is 33 kilo ohms, if R2 is equal to 4.5 kilo ohm, we will get a VB of close to 0.6 volt. So with this typical value of R1 and R2s, so let us also try to find out what is the value of RC, so that I can able to use this circuit as an amplifier. We know that we want to, if we want to use the BJT as an amplifier, we are supposed to operate the BJT in active region, meaning, suppose if I consider this as the output characteristics of BJT, which is having, so VC on x-axis and IC on the y-axis. So this is how the characteristic goes. So this is for the particular value of IB, of course, which is also proportional to the value of VBE. So I should operate somewhere here. So this is the maximum value of VC that you can have, which can be 5 volt. When when you have very less drop there, so out of VCC, because we know that as per the circuit diagram, suppose if I rewrite the circuit diagram here, this is VCC, this is RC, this is what I'm seeing it as VCE, because when you measure with respect to ground, this happens to be VCE, or simply say it as VC. So this is R1, R2. So you can write VC is equal to VCC minus AC into RC. So the drop across, so we have to have this value of VC such that you can have it exactly at half of the VCC, meaning that suppose if you want to see the swing of your output voltage, it is 0 to VCC now. So in order to keep the BJT in active region, you are supposed to dedicate some voltage of 0.2 volts. So out of 0 to 5, zero point 0.2 is left out. So zero point 0.2 is dedicated for keeping it in active mode. So you have 4.8 volt left out. So you can just keep the midpoint of it, which is almost 2.4 volt from down there. So you can keep it at 2.6 volts. So if you are adjusting the value of VC such that it is 2.6 volt, you can able to effectively get, if you can effectively utilize the swing of the available voltage. So it's now necessary to have VC to be equal to 2.6 volt, or approximately half of VCC, which is equal to 2.5 volt. So let us do an experiment. Let us lively conduct the experiment and try to find out if I connect a value of RC is equal to 2.2 kilo ohm. So let us try to find out what is the drop I want to get it. So let us have a DRB here in place of R2. Instead of keeping it constant, let me have a variable resistor so that I can vary the value of R2, which if I increase the value of R2, my VB also increases. If my VB increases, my IC will increase. If IC increases, my VC will reduce. So by changing this value of R2, I can able to certainly adjust VC. So once VC is almost half of your VCC, then I can apply the uh, input voltage so that I can able to measure the gain of the amplifier. So let me just have the circuit now. So I have already rigged up the circuit on breadboard, and of course I'm using a DRB for realizing the value of R2 here. You can see this is my circuit what I rigged up here. So there is a transistor. Of course this is exactly the circuit what we intended. So let me go to waveform and then try to apply the signals. So let me apply a supply voltage of 5 volts. Now I'm applying 5 volt. It is not required. You can make this on. Now supply is provided. Let me try to measure what is the voltage at collector. I have connected channel 2 at collector point. So I'll select scope. Since the okay, these are minimum adjustment you have to think of, because my supply voltage is maximum 5 volt. You can adjust the volts per division of this as 1 volt per division, so that you can get up to 5 volt. This can also be 1 volt per division, so that you don't have any issues there. Now you can see it is 1 volt per division. If I run, I should be getting what is now you are almost getting it close to 3 volt, that you can able to measure here. Before I apply the wavegen, so the best thing is, after making the connections, measure the voltage the collector. It should be approximately 2.5 volts. So let me measure what is the voltage at collector. So this is the average voltage. You can see it's almost 2.8 volt. Now you can see as I change my you can simultaneously see this. I can see I will change the value of R2. If I reduce the value of R2, my current will reduce. So when current reduces, that IC/RC drop will reduce, which will increase my VC. You can see if I reduce this, it has increased to 3 point. If I further reduce, it has gone to 3.6. If I further reduce, you can see it has become 4 volt. So this is not a good capacitor voltage, because sorry, the collector voltage, because if I apply the input voltage, now it will swing around this. So it will go up to 5, and it has gone till almost 0.2 or 0.3 volts. So that's why in order to have a good swing, we have to bring this close to 2.5. So let me again run it. So let me increase this. Okay, when you are increasing, be careful, don't increase the value in terms of case. Suppose if you increase the value of R2 too much, you can see it has gone down to uh, what 150 millivolt, which is you cannot still apply the waveform here. So that's why don't panic here. You apply a lesser value of R2 in terms of ones of K. Then if you want to, fine adjustment can be done using hundreds of ohms. You can see now I'm just changing this. Suppose if you are operating only here, then you are in trouble. If you go to a higher resistance, it goes down. If you go to lower resistance, it is there up. So in such case, you make it slightly larger in terms of voltage, then you can play with this. Now we can just keep on reducing this value or increasing this value so that it comes down to almost 2.5 volt. Now we can see it's almost a 2.5. Let me further slightly increase it. Now this is perfect. If you want to still adjust, go for further fining. You can see now, so I can make it exactly 2.5. So this is the voltage that we are looking at, 2.5. You can see it is mere adjustment of the DRB values, but you need to be very careful. You cannot keep these values randomly as 10k, 100k. You cannot keep. Suppose if I keep this at 10k, you can see what happens. So suppose by mistake, if it is something like this, you can see the voltages are so less because too much of current is flowing, and it is dropping across. Most of the voltage is dropping across resistors, so you're not getting any voltage for any uh, swing for your output voltage to operate. Now that's why you should always have a range of the value of R2. R2 can be between 4k. Keep it around 4k. Now we can say I just kept it around 4k. Now we can just vary this the hundreds of ohm resistance so that you can able to get it close to 2.5. So never hang on to only one particular DRB, only one ones of k resistance, where suppose if you are operating only between this and this, you will be in trouble. So get it close to 3 or 4 volts, then you play with the lower value of resistance. So now I will, because now we are set with that what is that the DC operating points. Now it is time to apply the input voltage. So input is in the form of sine wave. Typically, since we are looking at the midband gain, so you keep the frequency around 20 kilohertz, 30 kilohertz, 50 kilohertz, anything is fine. And let us see what happens if I apply 1 volt. If I apply 1 volt, so by mistake, suppose if I don't change this and if I apply input voltage of 1 volt, you can see what happens. So this is how we're going to get it. Now again, so what should be this timing? You can see this is 1 millisecond per division. If you can actually see here, so let me just again go back here. You can see a period for every cycle. It requires 50 microsecond. 50 microsecond is the time period that is required per cycle. So what you can do is you can adjust the scope timing exactly equal to this. So scope, this is 50 microsecond. If I go here and then say 50 microsecond per division, what I'll get is I will certainly get 10 cycles. You can see I'm getting 10 cycles. But this is what is 10 cycles we are looking at the input, because now you can see what should be this base is the time base in your scope should be same as the time period of the signal. If the time period of the signal, which is 50 microsecond, if it is equal to base of your time, then you're going to get 10 cycles on the scope. If you want to have still lesser number of cycles, then you can just reduce this, make it 20. Now you can see you have lesser number. So because if you can see here, this is per division, 20 microsecond per division is from here to here, it is 20 microsecond, 40, 60, 80. Likewise, we have 10 such divisions. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 such divisions. So 10 into 20 micro is the total time is 200 microsecond. In 200 microsecond, I can see 4 cycles, because each cycle requires 50 microsecond. If you have 200 microsecond, then you can certainly see 4 cycles. Can you see here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. You are seeing 4 cycles. If you want to see only one cycle, then you make it as 5 microsecond per division. You can see now you're seeing only one cycle. This is the negative half, that's the positive half. So you try to see at least 4 to 5 cycles so that you can be very comfortable. So once you, so in order to avoid all confusions, so what I suggest you always, whatever is the period of your wave gen, you keep this time base exactly as that. So it is 50 micro 50, so that you can see 10 cycles, because you have 10 divisions. So you can see every division will going to indicate one cycle now. Okay, coming back to your output waveform. So output expected to be sine wave. It's not coming like sine. It is purely because you're not applied an input voltage of desired amplitude. Let me reduce the amplitude to a lower value, maybe 100 millivolt, and try to see. Still I'm not getting it, so still it's not a sine wave. So what I'll do it, I'll further reduce it to maybe 20 millivolt. Okay, now you are there. So this is fine. Now I can able to uh, find out what is the gain of the amplifier in time response. So in time response, so I can, let me just note the frequencies. What is the frequency of the signal? The frequency of the signal is because we kept it at 20 kilohertz, if I'm not wrong. Let me know what the frequency. Okay, now the frequency is 20 kilohertz. The V in applied through the wavegen is 50, sorry, 20 millivolt peak. So V in peak to peak will be 40 millivolt. Let us try to measure what is V naught peak to peak. So let me measure V naught peak to peak. So what I suggest is you can use this peak to peak option here. In this peak to peak option is fine. You can see now it is showing it as 2.17. There is one more possibility of, because you can see there are some spikes that are happening. So this is the real-time signal what you're getting. You can also get this Y cursors. You can place two Y cursors, one at one normal, one delta. You can take these two cursors and then you can see it slightly just varies from cycle to cycle. Is approximately fine. If you can actually note down what is that value, you can see it is 2.16. So delta is 2.16. So this is the difference. This is the peak to peak input voltage. So let me also see what is from the scope. From the measurement, it was found that it was 2.17. So here also it is same thing. Can you see it's almost same. It is 2.17 and 2.11. So this way we can able to make our measurements pakka here. This is 2.11. So we can take either this voltage, that voltage. So both are fine. So suppose if there are any spikes coming here, so in this actual measurements, so what you're going to get is this will simply take those spikes also. So it's better you can either you can go for, if there are any distortions in the waveform, don't go for that spikes. So please measure using the Y cursors. Y cursors will actually, you can able to place wherever you want. Okay, supposing that if there is a spike there, so then you can just able to keep it in such a way that so that you're neglecting that spike. So that now I can just keep it somewhere here. This is an approximate value. You can see now it is 2.17. This is using peak to peak. Let me just measure it using this. Now it is 2.07. So this is fine. So V out peak to peak is, V out peak to peak is 2.07 volt. We can actually find out what is the gain of this amplifier. So AV is given by V naught peak to peak by V in peak to peak, which happens to be, so if I actually calculate the values of V in peak to peak and V naught V out peak to peak by V in peak to peak, it is now given by, it is 2.07 volt divided by 40 millivolt, so which happens to be, okay, now the gain is around 51.75. It is 51.75. Suppose if I recommend not to measure the input amplitude from this either the cursors or the peak to peak of this one. Suppose if I try to measure the peak to peak of channel 1, you can see what we are going to get. You can see it is showing it as 84 millivolt, which is not the case. So why it is showing 84 is but actually what you are applying is you are hardly applying. You can see these spikes are going to be pick up, but the actual waveform that you applied is exactly 20 millivolt peak. So that's why I'm asking you people to take the input voltage from here. Don't measure the input voltage from here, because it will also pick these spikes. So this peak to peak, you want to measure all these. If there is a spike coming here, it will go from this spike to this spike. That's why it is showing it as 84, but in actual sense it will not be 84. So it is actually 40 millivolt. So with this 40 millivolt as your input voltage and input as 2.07 divided by 0.04 happens to be 51.57. So that is the uh, gain of the amplifier in time response at 20 kilohertz. Let me do a network. So while doing network, so let us try to understand what are the things. Now amplitude should be same as that you used in your time response. So let me keep it at around 20 millivolt. And since I know that the gain is around 50, so let me keep it around 40 dB, or maybe even 30 dB is also fine. Keep it 30 dB. The bottom is at minus 90, let it be there, or you can make bottom as, because you'll not be going from minus 90, you can keep it somewhere at minus 30, so that you can get a good swing. It will be covering the entire plot. So start frequency, you can start from a very low frequency of 100 Hertz, and you can go up to maximum of 10 megahertz, that is, or maybe 25 megahertz, that is possible here. Okay, it is showing that. Okay, let me make it up to 10 megahertz. Okay, this is, let me just start running here. You can see it has gone down. Okay, let me just go till this point. Let me just check out what is the issue now. Let me go back to this scope and try to I'm not getting it here. Okay, let me just switch on this. Okay, this is fine. Okay, this. The gain has slightly reduced. Let me just check out why it has reduced. So okay, now this is fine. Let me just ensure that all the connections are fine. Let me slightly increase the value. Now let me go to this network, then run it. Now you can see you're getting the plot. But you can see it's almost touching this top. So now you can make this bottom as maybe around minus 30 dB is fine. Then make your top as around maybe 50 dB. Looks fine. Now if you want to make it slightly plot width, you can make it slightly thicker so that you can able to visualize the things properly. So now you have a typical response of a C amplifier. I can stop it now and I can put the cursor so that I can able to measure. So let me take cursors. You can put one normal cursor at the mid. You can take two deltas, one for lower cutoff frequency, other for the higher cutoff frequency. Two delta 1 should be placed at a point so that this C2 delta y is equal to 3 dB down, so that it corresponds to half power bandwidth point. Now you are close to there. You can see it's almost minus 3 dB. This also you keep it at -3 dB. You are there at almost at -3 dB. You can see now this is the lower cutoff frequency and this is the higher cutoff frequency, which is 1.89 megahertz. Okay, let me find out the frequencies now. Let me just note down the frequencies. The frequencies are measured, one in the mid band, which is at 44 kilohertz, and the higher cutoff frequency is 1.5 megahertz. The lower cutoff frequency is 186 hertz. Here it is 26.38 dB is the gain. I can find out what is this gain in volt per volt. So we have actually got okay, let me just verify how much is the gain now at this point of time using time response. Let me go back here because we found earlier it was 51.75. Let me just find it now. What is the gain? I just go back now. Okay, now this is at this point of time for the Bode plot what I got. Let me stop it now. Okay, let me take the X cursor, Y cursors, and then place them appropriately so that I can able to properly measure them. Okay, now this is okay. Now I have to take the reference of I have to select C2 now. This is C2. This should also be C2 so that I can able to let me clear them. Take one normal, take one delta. The channel should be C2. This should also be C2 so that I can. Otherwise, it will give you the readings of C1. This is perfect. Now you can see it is 1.23. So it is for 1.23 is your V in peak to peak. So V naught peak to peak is 40 millivolt. Let me find out what is the gain. So gain is okay 1230 divided by 40. The gain is now 30.75 because we have changed the settings now. 30.75 volt per volt is the gain. So I had in Bode plots 26.38 dB as the gain, which is 10 to the power of 26.38 by 20. So it is now 10 to the power of 26.38 divided by 20. It's coming out to be 20. So it's coming out to be 20 dB now. So of course 20 volt per volt. So it is now okay. So we will have slight difference between the Bode plot readings and the time response reading. So let us not too much worry about what is the reading, what is the gain that I'm getting here in Bode plot and the time response. So this way we can able to find out. Very important thing is that, so what should be the frequency of this? Start frequency should be at low frequency, and this the end frequency should be high enough so that you can able to get the entire bandwidth. Suppose if you keep this at low frequency, suppose if you keep it at 5 kilohertz, what you will not see that because that is happening at a low frequency. You cannot see that. Suppose if you keep this at somewhere around 500 kilohertz, you cannot see neither of the frequencies. You can see what you are seeing now is only the mid-band gain. So in order to get properly the response, this should be at a lower frequency. Even if it is, you don't keep it at 1 hertz. If you keep it at 1 hertz and if you keep this at 10 megahertz, you can see it will take long time because it has to uh, plot the reading. If it is 1 hertz, if you are starting from 1 hertz, it will certainly take very long time. So don't keep it at 1 hertz, keep it somewhere at around 50 hertz. So it will be pretty fast. You can see now you are getting it. So now once you get it, then you freeze it, use the cursors and then place them appropriately. You can note the phase of your C2. C2 will be almost 180 degree out of phase with the input signal, that is 188 or it's 177.8 degrees. So this way we can able to very effectively conduct the experiment C amplifier. Only thing is that please don't panic here. If you are not getting the response or the VC voltage, the collector voltage, only thing is that you have to carefully change this R2 value. Don't vary the value of R2 in terms of ones of K. Please vary them in terms of hundreds of ohms also, so that you will get exactly 2.5 as the collector voltage. From then you can able to simply apply the sine wave and you can get the output waveform. So this way we can able to comfortably conduct the experiment. Again, the settings should be, they should be in terms of, suppose if you keep it at very less frequency of something like 100 hertz or 50 hertz, so you can see at 100 hertz the gain is less. You still get the output waveform, but you can see here 100 hertz, as I said, again if you want to see the waveform for 100 hertz it is 10 millisecond. Go back to scope, and make this 10 millisecond, you will see 10 cycles. Make this 10 millisecond, you can see 10 cycles. Are you seeing 10 cycles? You can see now the gain was earlier very large, this much. Now the gain is less. Why the gain is less means, since your operating frequency is low, that's why gain is less. Suppose if I increase the frequency, gain will be almost close to this, it will be touching this line and this line. So that's why whenever you are measuring the gain of the amplifier in time response, you have to keep in mid band, which is around 10 kilohertz to maybe up to 500 kilohertz. You can see if I simply change it to maybe 200 kilohertz, you can see again, see the time as 5 microsecond period. You can see now you are not properly getting it. So what you can do is you can make this equal to 5 microsecond. Where is that? 5 microsecond? You can see now you're getting it properly. So this way we can able to very comfortably get the waveforms. So this time base you can keep it same as equal to this period, so that you can see 10 cycles. And in scope, frequency should be low to a high frequency of even up to 10 megahertz, and the top should be sufficiently, of course, suppose if you keep the top as something like 100 dB and the bottom as 20 dB, you're not getting. So make sure that bottom is 20 fine. Since the top is there here, since it is not coming down, you can see this much is wasted here. So keep it comfortably at around 40 dB here. This is 40 dB. Don't keep the bottom more than that. Suppose if you keep the bottom as 60 dB and top as 40 dB, you are in trouble. So keep the bottom sufficiently lower, that of 40 dB. Keeping it as 0 is fine. If you want to see the input also, keep it something like negative here. Now you can see the input also now, because input we always at 0 dB line. It will be at 0 dB line. We can don't make any changes in this offset. Let offset be 0 or range be 360 degrees. So this way you can able to comfortably set the values of network, wavegen and the scopes. Scope always make sure that, of course, if you want to clearly see the waveform, you can see, but don't measure the input peak to peak from this. And if you want to see what is this, LO is now don't worry that, don't think that this output is swinging around this, because if you want to see the exact output voltage, you may have to click on this. You can see if you click on this, it has become 5. If you click on this, it will become 250, which is purely depending on this range. See now, if I make this 100 millivolt per division, now this will become 500. Now since it is 1 volt per division, if you want to see this is 1 volt, 2 volt, 3 volt, 4 volt, 5 volt. If you want to see 5 here, I may have to click onto this C2. Click on C2, you'll get 5. If you click on C1, you'll get the corresponding range being displayed here. So this way you can able to change the things what you are observing by clicking on either C1 or C2.